She trembles on the edge of losing control and begs me to stop before her mind completely melts. But when I see the flashing 95% on my system screen, a calculated smile spreads across my face. The finish line is right in front of me. Cannot stop now. I tighten my grip and firmly tell her she cannot escape yet because we still have something important to finish. Tonight I am pushing her loyalty to the absolute maximum, no matter what it takes. Hearing me say there was still something important left to do, Benhita's imagination completely short-circuited. I could feel her trembling against me, her face burning red as she wildly misinterpreted my intentions. She genuinely thought I was about to cross a major line right there in the dark. Her mind raced about how fast everything was moving. Yet deep down she resolved that she would never dare refuse me. When I gently set her down and reached out to cup her flushed cheek, she squeezed her eyes shut and braced herself, fully expecting her clothes to come off next. Instead, I simply looked into her eyes and calmly told her to breathe. I assured her she did not need to force herself or push past her limits. She was my very first summoned companion, and that alone made her incredibly important to me. I explained that this was truly just meant to be a peaceful walk. My calm words hit her like a shockwave. At that exact moment, my system pinged again, pushing her affection to an incredible 98%. Benhita's eyes flew open as she realized her thoughts had been completely running wild, leading her to the edge of a quiet, glowing lake. I sat down on the soft grass and apologized for recklessly dragging her sensitive body through those painful reeds. Staring across the still water, I allowed myself to lower my guard just a little and shared a small part of my past. I told her how harsh and unforgiving my life once was, and how I used to come to this exact spot just to watch the calm water and find a brief moment of peace. It was only a small glimpse of vulnerability, but to the sheltered banshee it meant everything. Seeing the normally stoic master she served open up to her beneath the silent stars melted the last of her defenses. In that moment she felt like we were two people sharing a secret together, realizing she was not simply a weapon to me but someone truly special. Then the system notification I had been chasing finally exploded across my vision. 100%. Her affection had officially reached the maximum. But when the glowing interface expanded, my confidence immediately shifted into genuine shock. Instead of unlocking the peak blood ability like before, the system revealed something completely unexpected. The screen flashed brightly and displayed a brand new secret reward called the Blood-Forged Castle. Staring at the massive prize, I realized the abilities I gained before were merely lucky outcomes, and this system was far more unpredictable than I imagined. A slow, predatory smile spread across my face. Reading the system description, I finally understood what the Blood-Forged domain truly meant. It was an ability capable of instantly constructing a massive personal fortress in any desolate region, projecting a powerful aura that continuously restored the health and mana of both myself and every follower under my command. As a long-term base, it was the perfect strategic stronghold, a place where I could slowly build an unstoppable army. But despite how valuable that castle would be for the future, I was still trapped under a strict 30-day deadline. What I needed right now was immediate and overwhelming combat power. Without hesitation, I activated another hidden ability in my system called Soul Resonance. The moment it triggered, a brilliant pulsating light burst out from Benhita's chest. She gasped in shock and instinctively clutched her chest, her face turning bright red as she nervously asked what kind of spell I had just cast on her. From within that radiant glow, a crystalline red amulet slowly formed in the air. It was Benhita's spirit pendant. The system stats attached to the item were completely ridiculous. It granted an enormous increase to my spirit and resistance against status effects. But the true value of the pendant was its passive ability. Any incoming magical attack or mind control spell could be completely nullified. Against the powerful magic users within the Elite Center, this single artifact alone could completely change the battlefield. Holding the pendant up to the moonlight, I realized it was a rare item that could only exist when the souls of a master and follower reached perfect synchronization. Once I fastened it around my neck, Benhita suddenly covered her mouth in shock and whispered dramatically that the sudden surge of energy felt as if her very soul had just given birth to my child. I simply smirked at her imagination, but the immense power now flowing through my body was undeniably real. Standing beside the silent lake, I stared across the calm surface of the water as my next strategy fully formed in my mind. My immediate destination would be the blood prison arena. I needed to dive back into that brutal battlefield, conquer more powerful followers, and push their loyalty to the absolute limit as quickly as possible. If I could trigger another high-tier system reward, it might grant me the exact weapon I needed to completely crush the elite center's approaching suppression force. And if luck somehow failed me, a dangerous smile slowly spread across my face. I still had a final trump card. If everything went wrong, I could disappear into the wasteland, activate the blood-forged castle, and establish a domain that no enemy would ever be able to breach. Before I could take another step toward my plans, a pair of soft arms suddenly wrapped tightly around my waist from behind. I froze, completely caught off guard. It was Benhita. She pressed herself against my back, her voice trembling with emotion as she confessed that she never imagined she meant so much to me. The overwhelming surge from soul resonance had shattered the last of her restraint. Her cheeks were flushed and her glowing eyes stared up at me as she boldly declared that she must be the fated companion I had been waiting for all along. She whispered that since our souls had already shared such a powerful connection, it only felt natural that their bond should grow even stronger. Looking into her eyes, I quickly realized what had happened. The massive surge of power from soul resonance had not only strengthened her abilities, but had also overwhelmed her senses. She was practically intoxicated by the aura flowing between us, completely affected by the strength of the bond we had just forged. Before I could even respond, she stepped closer, pulled me toward her, and pressed her lips against mine in a sudden desperate kiss. I did not push her away. Beneath the quiet moonlight beside the still waters of the lake, the connection between us deepened as our energies resonated together. It was no longer just about loyalty or affection. Our powers began to synchronize completely as I channeled my core energy directly into her. When the intense exchange of power finally calmed, Benhita collapsed backward onto the grass, completely exhausted yet radiating a powerful new aura. At that exact moment, my system interface flashed with a massive golden notification. By sharing the essence of the blood demon through that connection, her strength did not simply rise. It skyrocketed. She shattered the limits of her previous form and instantly evolved into a mid-fifth tier existence. Reading the system prompt, I realized the essence of the blood demon was an extremely rare, one-time reward that could only be triggered when a follower reached absolute maximum loyalty. Benhita lay in the grass, breathless and glowing, whispering that the breakthrough had been the most intense and unforgettable experience of her entire life. But as I watched her slowly recover, a grim realization pulled my mind back to reality. Her raw power had skyrocketed, but her hypersensitive skin was still a huge weakness. If I did not find a way to help her overcome that vulnerability, it could easily become a fatal flaw once the real war began. I needed answers, and I needed them quickly. I glanced up at the massive full moon hanging in the night sky and felt a familiar thrill run through my veins. The night was still young, and my momentum was stronger than ever. There was no better time to enter the blood prison arena. The world suddenly twisted around me and dropped me straight into the scorching crimson battlefield. Immediately, the system tried to handicap me, flashing a warning that all normal gear and consumables were disabled. Only exclusive equipment was permitted in this tier of combat. I simply smirked. My exclusive gear was still active, so I did not need to waste my selection on a weapon. Instead, I chose the topaz gourd, a rare defensive item that boosted my spirit and granted 3 emergency bursts of healing. Then the real challenge appeared. The arena interface lit up and forced me to choose one of 3 combat buffs before the gates opened. Thornmail to reflect incoming damage, Berserker for a 20% attack boost, or Risky Adventure, a terrifying gamble that would immediately cut 50% of my maximum health at the start in exchange for increasing my reward drops by 20%. The story gets crazier next. Subscribe and turn on notifications.